Celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. This is Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Live on tape from AMF Woodstock in Woodstock, Georgia. Prodigy Bowlers Tour takes the show on the road for the first time in the 2017-18 season, as our usual home base, Brunswick Zone Roswell, was booked all day with special events. But they rolled out the red carpet for us here at AMF Woodstock and delivered the third largest field in Prodigy Bowlers Tour history, as 23 kids from AMF Woodstock, Stars and Strikes Woodstock, Stars and Strikes Cumming, Brunswick Zone Lilburn, and Brunswick Zone Roswell and their parents all descended on our host center today to face another stiff challenge. Today, on the eve of the biggest football game of the year in Minneapolis, here in suburban Atlanta, our bowlers made a return visit to the land of Swiss watches, Swiss chocolate, and Swiss cheese. We had such fun bowling a Swiss last week. By popular demand, we brought the format back again this week for another grueling 3-game match play qualifier, but this time to feed into an unusual stepladder format. But first, to remind our viewers of what a Swiss is, in case you missed last week's show, it works like this. The kids were paired up in match play pairings by random draw the first game of qualifying. Then, each subsequent game of qualifying, they were repaired in a position round, with first place bowling against second place, third against fourth, and so on. They were awarded 30 bonus pins for winning a match, so a potential 90 bonus pins were available to anyone who could sweep all 3 of their Swiss matches. The top 9 players advanced to our unusual stepladder format, where they would bowl only for strikes in 9-frame matches. This format is a spin-off of a TV game show of the 1960s called Jackpot Bowling. But they only bowled 2 players to a match, and 6 strikes in a row would net a player the jackpot. Well, we have 3 players in each match, and there's no jackpot. Sorry. But we expect plenty of thrills today, as this stepladder format is sure to move along at a lightning pace. So let's meet the 9 players who qualified for today's championship round. Qualifying 9th is Garrett. Finally, Garrett gets to bowl on Prodigy here in his home bowling center. He's hoping that will lead him to his first victory on Prodigy today. Qualifying in the 8th spot is Christian. McFluffy won all 3 of his matches today to get into the stepladder finals. Those 2 will face the number 7 seed, Tristan. Tristan won the 7th frame sweat a few months ago on Prodigy, and he's been consistently making the show ever since, but he'd like to make a second visit to the winner's circle. The winner of that first 3-player match will advance to face our next 2 qualifiers. In the 6th spot is Isaiah. This formidable young player won on Prodigy back in October on the episode we titled The Woodstock Invasion. It was the first week we hosted a bunch of kids from AMF Woodstock over at our usual home center, Brunswick Zone Roswell, and Isaiah showed everybody up that day. Qualifying 5th is Nick, another young player who's right at home here at AMF Woodstock. He won 3 weeks ago on our Strike or Else show, and today he'd love to make it win number 2. The winner of that second 3-player match will move on to face 2 more players. Bowling in the 4th position is Terrell. Prodigy fans know about this dominating 2-hander, but when he recently led all bowlers on 2 different days in the Junior Team USA qualifier in Las Vegas and averaged 261 on day 4 to lead all players in the field after 3 rounds, he turned plenty of heads on a national stage. And qualifying 3rd is Anthony. Another 2-hander, Anthony has been bowling less than a year, and already won on Prodigy back in November on our first anniversary show. And the winner of that third match will move on to the championship match against the top two qualifiers in our field today. Bowling in the number 2 position is Josh. Josh made the show last week, but exited earlier than he'd have liked. But the very next day, he won a big tournament here in the Atlanta metro area called Top Dog Junior, which was holding its inaugural event. So Josh is riding a wave of confidence. And our tournament leader is Dawson. Dawson, the only southpaw in our field today, is the reigning Georgia State Youth Bowler of the Year. He had a disappointing showing last week in our first Swiss Open, but this week he found the format to his liking and stayed close to the lead from the beginning, and then took over the lead in the third qualifying match. And that's our field today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Well, we're thrilled to be here at AMF Woodstock today for this edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, a series of unofficial, informal, and impromptu after-league challenge matches staged by some of the most talented youth bowlers in this part of the country. I told you we began with 23 bowlers, and here's how the field shrunk to 9. After their first game of match play, Anthony took the early lead, just like last week. Dawson was right on his heels, with Josh, a first-timer named Dylan, Terrell, and Garrett rounding out the top 6. Then the players were repaired for a second game of match play based on their standings in a position round. Following the second match, Josh had moved out in front, with Dawson close behind and Terrell looking over their shoulders. Anthony, Logan F., Garrett, Christian, Dylan, and Isaiah filled out the top 9. Then another position round, and Dawson took over first place after beating Josh by 4 pins in their match. Logan fell from 5th to 12th, and Nick made a big move from 12th to 8th to make the show. 2 players tied for 6th. Tristan and Isaiah both tied, and we broke the tie with a single ball roll-off. They both struck the first ball, but the second time around, Isaiah got the better of Tristan to qualify 6th, sending Tristan into our opening bracket and in 7th. So, with that background out of the way, we can begin our first match, pitting our 7th, 8th, and 9th seeded players against one another. Now remember, they're bowling a 9-frame match, and they're only bowling for strikes. Whoever gets the most strikes in 9 frames will advance. And if any player gets out in front by an insurmountable number of strikes, in other words, if they're up by more strikes than there are frames remaining, the match ends right there, and we move on to the next one. So here we go. They'll all start on the left lane for the first frame. Bowling first is our 7th seed, Tristan. And Tristan gets a light shaker to begin, so he is off and running. Well, they're bowling on Alcatraz today. 38 feet, so the rule of 31 says you'd want the ball at about the 7 board at the 38-foot mark. 2-to-1 ratio, so they're not going to get much help. And with a 24.8 milliliter volume of oil, it's a little slick where there's oil. And look at Christian pack one right in the 1-3 pocket to begin. So our first 2 players have it all lined up. Next to go will be Garrett. And he crosses over and leaves the 5, so a non-strike in the first frame. They won't be shooting the spares. It's just strike or no strike. Tristan, who used to bowl league here at AMF Woodstock, he moved over and joined our league at Brunswick Zone Roswell this year, and we're glad to have him. And another good one right in the pocket. So Tristan has it going here early. And we'll watch this one again as he finds the pocket. The 1-3 promised land. Christian, one of just 3 players in the field who won all 3 of his matches in the Swiss qualifying games. There's another good one for Christian. So, 2 frames, 2 strikes for Tristan and Christian. And we'll watch McFluffy's shot again and his reaction. He liked it. And now Garrett. That's more like what he was looking for. Comes in light and shakes him up. Hit him thin and watch him spin. So 2-2-1. And Tristan now back on the left lane. This time he doesn't get up quite enough to shake out the left side of the rack. Leaves a couple, so that is a non-strike. So Christian will reset the rack and try to take the lead. This format, which originated on a primetime TV show that ran on Monday nights on NBC in the early 1960s, was called Jackpot Bowling. There'd be 2 players from the PBA that would bowl the first match, and then the winner would go on to face the reigning king of the hill. And if they could get 6 strikes in a row, they would win the jackpot. Hence the name Jackpot Bowling. We have no jackpot today. Sorry. But we're going to have some strikes, it looks like. Christian, 3 in a row to begin. Now we're in Garrett's home bowling center, so he feels like this is his turf right here. Crosses over again on the left lane, but this time he gets them all to drop. As we'll see his reaction. Well, he gives it the left-hander's pose since it went Brooklyn. Garrett will give you some reactions. Another crossover. This time Tristan trips the 6-10, and he'll take it. In a match like this, where you only get 9 shots at the most, well, you better make them count. One way or the other. So Christian going for 4 in a row. Look at this. He trips the 9. And there's a 4-bagger right out of the starting gate. Yeah, I know he liked that one. Now Garrett. And I know Garrett liked that one too. Well, I told you that Garrett would show you a reaction. Last time he was on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, we talked a little bit about how he might even give it a little too much reaction, use up his energy. As we see Tristan drift a little high in the 5th, and a non-strike for him. So that's 3 out of 5. Keep an eye on Garrett, see if he can pace himself a little here. You don't want to use up all your juice too soon. Christian taking a page out of Peyton's book. Peyton, our winner last week on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, a very deliberate player, took his sweet time, and Christian is doing the same thing. Whoa! Look at this one. Well, that was a different kind of messenger. See if we can pick up on exactly what happened here. Oh, this was more like a wall shot, but the head pin, instead of coming back and getting the 4 and 5, it goes over the 4 and 5 and gets the 10. And he liked it. He's all smiles. Garrett asking that one to push. It does not. And now Christian with a 2-strike lead over everybody with 4 frames left. I told you the action would go fast in this format. Tristan up in the 6th. Again, coming up a little light. And now, Christian with a chance for 6 in a row. And he could go dormy on Tristan right here if he can put another strike on the board. Dormy, a golf term where you're up by as many strikes, in this case, as there are frames remaining. And on the old Jackpot Bowling show, the format from which we took the inspiration for the format we're using today, 6 strikes in a row would win the jackpot. There's no jackpot in play today, but Christian's measuring this one as if there were. Oh, he pulled it. You saw him motion left with his left hand. He knew it was left immediately. Okay. Well, that keeps Tristan in the match and gives Garrett an opportunity to pull to within 1 if he can catch a strike right here. With still 3 frames left. But first, he's got to get this strike in the 6th to draw closer. Oh, he liked that one. That looked pretty good to me, too. Just a little high. See if we can pick up on his reaction here. He likes it. Frustrating. You know you're down by a couple and you're running out of frames. All right, Tristan. He's got to get some strikes. And you could tell he turned away immediately. Tristan may just be running out of juice. Tell you what, he had a big 3rd game in qualifying to come back from way back in the pack just to make the show. Tristan with a big game. He went from 17th to that tie for 6th. He shot 234, and with the 30 bonus pins, picked up 264 pins. And then he lost the playoff to Isaiah to end up 7 seed for our stepladder finals. Christian through the nose. So there's back-to-back non-strikes. And once again, he's keeping Garrett in it. Now, with Tristan's miss in the 7th, The best he can do is 5. Christian's already got that, so Christian has gone dormy on Tristan. And Garrett needs a strike here to keep his chances of winning alive. There you go. That's what he's looking for. And Garrett will show you what he's thinking. He's thinking, I needed that one. Okay. Now Tristan must strike. And he just trips the 4, so he stays in the match. He can still get to 5. Christian has 5 right now. Watch this ball drift high. The 2-pin will go to the wall and just nudge out the 4. All right. Well, Christian can end Tristan's chances right here with a strike and go dormy on Garrett. And that's just what he does with a trip 4 of his own. So Tristan will not be advancing. Now it's just a question of, can Garrett catch him? And that was high in the pocket, but all right. Garrett must strike right here. No. The 10-pin remains. And so Christian takes the first match. And he is moving on to match 2, where he will face Isaiah and Nick when we return. After a promising start to the match, 3 strikes in the first 4 frames, Tristan seemed to finally run out of gas. He put on a heck of a charge in the 3rd game of qualifying just to make the show. But he just couldn't stay with Christian, who seemed to have all the answers that first match of our stepladder today. And I think you'd have to say Garrett poured every bit of himself into trying to press Christian. But in the end, it was McFluffy who got the strikes to close out the match. So now it's Christian who will be moving on to match 2 to face our number 6 seed, Isaiah, and our number 5 seed, Nick. Christian, Isaiah, and our tournament leader, Dawson, who you'll see a little later, are the only 3 players in the field who swept all 3 of their matches in our Swiss qualifier. Here's how the whole field fared in the Swiss match play qualifier. And as you can see, winning your matches and accumulating those bonus pins for doing so is a big part of the Swiss qualifying format. Dawson, Isaiah, and Christian each collected the full 90 bonus pins that were available, which, as you can plainly see by looking at their qualifying scores, played a huge role in getting them to the championship round. And I gotta say that when we first started talking about today's format, and I should mention that we almost never know what the format is going to be until just minutes before we start. There were calls out from some of the parents. Let's do the Swiss again. They liked it. A non-strike for Nick to start. Yeah, there was a lot of interest in this Swiss format. We may dust that one off a number of times in the future. It's pretty interesting how that works. I think one of the things that makes it so interesting is that it is match play. The fact that all but the first game are position rounds, adds to the intrigue, but I think the match play element is what makes it the most fun. Well, Isaiah finds the pocket to start. And there's our first strike of this second match. Take another look at how Isaiah found all 10 in the pit. And now Christian. 6 strikes that first game. Let's see if he can keep it going. Oh, he pulled that one, but got away with it. It's a Brooklyn. A strike is a strike is a strike. See if he can maintain that same steady pace he had the first game. Christian's tempo looked fantastic that last match. All right, Nick. Nick, an exciting two-hander that we've seen a number of times on Prodigy. Both Isaiah and Nick bowl here at AMF Woodstock, so they feel right at home today. 10 in the pit. All right, Isaiah going for 2 in a row. Oh, and he shakes them up. A little tossed salad strike action there. As Terrell liked that one so much, he had to come over and give Isaiah 5. Isaiah will show you a little bit of reaction now and then, and look at this, he's all smiles after that. All right, McFluffy going for 2 in a row. Whoa! Well, the good news is he doesn't have to shoot it. It's just a non-strike. So we move to the top of the third frame. Isaiah with a 1-strike lead over both Nick and Christian, and now Nick will try to tie it up. And he does. I've been real impressed with Nick ever since the first time he came over to bowl Prodigy at Brunswick Zone Roswell. This young fella can really zip it down the lane. Oh, man, that was a good ball. Just fractionally high. And he just chops the 5 right back off the 9. But that is a non-strike. And now if Christian can get all 10 right here, we'll have an all-tied match with 2, 2, and 2. Christian taking his time. Oh, look out. Well, that ball was all the way out to about the 1 or 2 board. Anytime he throws one out there near the gray board, I think everybody holds their breath. We've seen Christian throw them in the moat before. All right, on to the 4th frame. And Nick finds the pocket again, so he takes the lead 3 to 2 to 1. And he liked that one. So Isaiah will try to even things up. Well, that's a pretty strong answer to the strike that Nick threw. So now Christian is in catch-up mode as we watch Isaiah in slow motion. This is how it's done right here. 10 in the pit. Christian's got to get busy now. Nick and Isaiah both look like they're all lined up. Christian was lined up. Pulled that one. You could tell it right off his hand. He had been getting that ball out to about a 7 or 8 board at the break point. But that one was left off his hand. So 3 non-strikes in a row for Christian. And now Nick and Isaiah both on the verge of putting Christian away. But Nick goes high and leaves the 6-10, so a non-strike. And that hands the gauntlet to Isaiah. See what he can do with it. He will take his time and pick out his spot and then cut it loose. Like that. He liked it. He shows those pearly whites. So Isaiah by 1 over Nick and by 3 over Christian for the moment. But now Christian with a chance to pull to within 2. And he needs to take advantage of that opportunity right now. There's only 4 frames left. Well, there you go. That's what he needed. Take a look at Christian's footwork. It's a 5-step delivery. What I like about it is he slides with that slide foot actually turned to the left a little bit. You see a lot of young kids slide with their slide foot right-handers pointed to the right. That's not what you want. There's a good shot by Nick. You slide with your right-hander, slides with his slide foot pointing to the right. He will lose some leverage. Watch Nick do it. He's got that slide foot almost exactly perpendicular to the foul line. Turned a little to the right, but that's okay. He's bellying the ball out to the right a little bit, so that's acceptable. All right, Isaiah trying to break the tie. And he shreds the rack on that one. Sends that 5 over into the left side of the rack. Watch this. He takes that backward step like Pete Weber. The Ripper. All right, Christian's got to get busy now. He's going to be in big trouble if he doesn't strike here. Left again. Now he may blame the transition on this later, but when he looks at this tape, I think he's going to see that he was just pulling the ball. It wasn't getting out to the right as far as it was when he was striking. Nick way left of his target. And now Isaiah has Christian Dormy Christian down by 3 with 3 frames left. Isaiah can eliminate Christian from any chance of advancing if Isaiah can strike here in the 7th. And at the same time, he'd go dormy on Nick. And he does it with a big trip 4. So Christian now just playing for 6th. If he can get there, he's just trying to get past Nick. And watch Isaiah's reaction. Yeah. So he just eliminated Christian. And that's what Christian thought about it. He can still catch Nick for 6th, but he's not going to be moving on. But now Nick must strike. He's down by 2, just the 8th and 9th remaining. If he doesn't strike here, Isaiah's moving on. And that's it. This match ends on a miss by Nick, and it's Isaiah who wins the match, and he is advancing to match 3. He'll face Terrell and Anthony when we return after this. Each week on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, we remind you that the show is best viewed full screen. And here's this week's batch of Prodigy heads to show you how it's done. Now, I gotta tell you, a gentleman showed up for today's taping at AMF Woodstock, and he told me that I ought to change that billboard at the start of the show. He said the show isn't best viewed full screen. He said the show is best viewed live and in person. But if you can't show up for a taping, the next best thing is to watch it full screen, just like these good people. Prodigy's viewers are all over the US, Canada, and all around the world. Right now, there's a Prodigy fanatic somewhere taking a selfie and sending it in to be on the show next week. Why don't you join them? Take a picture of yourself with Prodigy Bowlers Tour on in the background, full screen of course, on your big screen TV, your computer, or your mobile device, and email it to me at randy@prodigybowlerstour.com. Be sure to include your first and last name, your age, the city and state where you live, and the country if you're outside the US, and which episode of Prodigy you're watching. Then stay tuned. We could put your beautiful face on the next installment of Prodigy Selfies on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Well, whatever magic it was that Christian found in the first match, it eluded him in match 2. And Nick looked like he was going to make a move, but it was Isaiah who made the clutch shots when he needed them to squeeze his opponents into submission. So it's Isaiah who's advancing to match 3, where he'll have his hands full with our number 4 qualifier, Terrell, and our number 3 seed, Anthony. Terrell, arguably the top youth bowler in the state of Georgia right now, and Anthony, who's a bit of a wild card. He's only been bowling for less than a year, but has shown on Prodigy that he can unleash strikes in bunches. But those two would be wise not to look past Isaiah. As we found on his only previous appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, Isaiah is at his best when the pressure is on. This should be an exciting match. And it should be made even more exciting by the fact that I'm joined in the broadcast booth by a guest color commentator. It's Christian McFluffy.
How you doing, Randy?
I'm hanging in there. What about you? What happened that last game?
I don't know. I guess the lanes transitioned.
Anthony leads off, and look at this. He gets a crossover.
Yeah, it looked like he pulled that a couple boards.
Little bit. But he's off and running. He's got one. You never know. One might be enough. Somehow I doubt it. Here's Terrell. Well, looks like the Brooklyn side is the preferred side. What were the lanes doing out there when you were in that last match?
Well, what I was doing is I was playing around the 7th board, 8th board-ish, and right after that first game, it started to transition a little bit. Didn't account for it.
Here's Isaiah. Well, now Isaiah experiencing a little of what you got the last match. He had it all zeroed in against you and Nick, and now goes a little high on him. Here's Anthony going for 2 in a row.
Perfect shot.
Wow, I should say so. Hard to believe this guy has only been bowling less than a year.
Really?
Yep. Stuffed that one. All right, Terrell.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. It crushes the pocket. We'll take a good long look at Terrell's game in slow motion. Perfect position. Good balance. High flush. That's how it's done. Make note for the next time you're bowling. There's Isaiah with a good one right in the pocket.
Well, I'd say these kids found it.
I'd say so. Take a long look at Isaiah's game. He's got a somewhat unusual swing. Watch this. He takes that little backward step, a la Pete Weber, and then he swings it way to the inside, but he reroutes it at the top, drops it in perfect line, and just rips through it effortlessly and gets them all to go. Easy peasy. All right, Anthony. Crunch. And Terrell has a couple of words for him with that one. Take another look at Anthony's game here. He lets that ball go a couple of feet off the floor. We might take a closer look at him a little later and see how we could improve that. Here's Terrell.
Whoa.
It looked like he double dribbled it or something. The ball looked like it bounced on the floor. And he's saying, did you guys see that? What was that? Let's take another look.
Take a look at this. It's like the thumb hole was just rolling over and over and over.
I thought he double dribbled it at first, but it actually did. It looked like it rolled over the thumb hole, or actually it looked like maybe some sort of debris was on the lane, but I don't see anything. I don't know. Ghosts.
Wow.
Can't do it any better than that. Isaiah gets his second strike, so tight match, 3-2 to 2. Anthony will try to pull away right here. Man, he is lined up. So let's take a closer look at Anthony's game with our coach's clicker. You'll see this in slow motion. Anthony will get to the top of the swing, and the ball looks like it's in good position, right in line with his elbow and head, and then at the bottom of the swing, look at this. His elbow is way outside the line between his head and the ball. He loses leverage, and look at this, no knee bend. That's why he lets it go so far up off the floor. We'd like to see him get a little more knee bend, so he can roll the ball more rather than heave it out on the lane. Here's a two-hander that knows how it's done. And he hits the pins so hard. We'll take another look at Terrell and see the difference between his game and Anthony's. This kid is a very accomplished player with a very mature game. Again, like Anthony, he's in perfect position at the top. You gotta like that. And then at the bottom, look where his arm is. Right in line between his head and the ball. That is perfect position. And then he gets that deep knee bend that a tall player needs to get maximum leverage. Anthony, like Terrell, is a big guy, a tall guy, and big, tall guys need to get low and use their strength, their legs, to generate some of the power. All right, Isaiah.
Oh.
Good ball, just a weak 10. It just didn't quite make the corner. We'll take a look. Watch this ball. It's going to hit just a little light in the pocket. And he's like, ugh.
That 6-pin just laid straight in that gutter.
Yep. Well, Anthony's first miss of the match. I tell you what, Anthony has had good results. You know, sounds like I'm picking his game apart. I'm not. It's just Anthony can bowl some really big scores, which for a player who's only been at this game less than a year is pretty remarkable. But Anthony's still got some consistency issues, and if he'd iron some of those problems out, he'd be better. Terrell through the nose. And there is a non-strike.
It looks like he may have softened his speed up there.
You think? A little slower that time? Perhaps.
Just a tad bit.
All right. Well, 4 to 3 to 2. Isaiah would like to get right back in the mix here if he can get a strike in the 5th. Pull to within 1 of our leader. Oh, man, just fractionally high. Good ball, though. Take another look at this. We'll watch his reaction. Oh, what do I have to do? He knew that was a good ball. Oh, he just rips the rack. Anthony, a big power shot in the 6th for his 5th strike. Watch this. He'll hit in that half pocket. Watch the 5-pin whistle over into the 7 and just wipes it out. And we'll watch his reaction. Yeah. He liked it. All right, Terrell. High flush.
Tyrell is known to do some great damage in these local tournaments around here.
He'll do damage in just about any tournament he enters. Anytime Terrell is near a bowling center, the pins are quivering in fear. He hits them hard. All right, Isaiah needs to get one to get back in this. Oh, look at this. Well, now, that's a strike in slow motion. It just makes you want to dance, doesn't it? Oh, man. That makes you want to duck for cover. Anthony with his 6th strike, and with that he goes dormy on Isaiah. 3 up with Isaiah with 3 to play.
I thought he may have just pulled that shot and held.
That's left off his hand. He knew it. So, now Anthony is dormy on both of his opponents. Terrell giving it all the body English he can muster, but not to be. And now Isaiah is in a must-strike situation. The leader has 6. Isaiah has 3 frames to go. He cannot advance if he doesn't strike on this ball. He looked away immediately. Oh! 9 and a wiggle is all you get, sir. Take another look. No, he knew it as soon as it left his hand. He was just hoping for a miracle, and it was not to be. So Isaiah will now be playing for 4th. And look at this, Anthony misses in the 8th, so Terrell still has a chance, but he must strike on the next ball. Yeah, Anthony fell a little off balance. You could see him falling off to the right. That is usually getting your weight a little too far forward too soon in the approach. But now here it is. Terrell gotta have this one, or this is Anthony's match.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, what a way to go out. So it's Anthony who wins. And, well, gotta thank you, Christian, for sitting in on this match.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We're on to the championship match, and our top 3 seeds will go at it when we return next. Prodigy Bowlers Tour presents Legends of the Game. This week, we shine the spotlight on the player that many of us insist is the greatest bowler who ever laced up bowling shoes. The great Earl Anthony. Unlike most professional bowlers, Earl Anthony wasn't even introduced to bowling until he was in his 20s. He'd had a career as a professional baseball pitcher and was in the Baltimore Orioles farm system when his baseball career was sidetracked by an injury. While working a night shift as a forklift operator, he joined the company's bowling team and fell in love with the game. In 1963, when the PBA was still in its infancy, Earl tried joining the ranks of professional bowlers, but failed to win any money in his first 7 tournaments, so he left the tour. But 6 years later, he improved, and a year after rejoining the tour, he captured his first PBA title in 1970. Anthony would go on to win a record 10 major championships. He was the first player to cross the $1 million threshold in career winnings. He was the leading money winner on tour in 3 straight years from 1974 to 1976 before suffering a heart attack and retiring. But then he returned to the tour again in 1980 and was once again the leading money winner in 3 straight seasons again in 1981 through 83. Earl Anthony retired as the winningest player in PBA history with 41 titles and 7 PBA Senior Tour titles. Anthony was voted into the PBA Hall of Fame in 1981 and the American Bowling Congress Hall of Fame in 1986. On the day when Earl Anthony won the 1978 Tournament of Champions to become the first bowler to ever reach 30 titles, Dick Weber was in the broadcast booth and proclaimed Earl Anthony to be the undisputed king of bowling. High praise from the man many thought, prior to that time, to be the greatest bowler ever.
Earl, how do you make it look so smooth and easy? You know, Jack Nicklaus does it in golf. How do you do it in bowling?
Well, I don't know how Jack feels, but I felt like I needed to go to the bathroom. Most of the time I was out there.
In 2008, the PBA celebrated 50 years in existence by commissioning a panel of experts to rank the 50 greatest bowlers in the last 50 years. Earl Anthony was voted #1, even though his record number of victories had since been eclipsed by Walter Ray Williams. But even Walter Ray said that Earl's record is better, pointing out that Earl's victories came in a more condensed period of time. Earl bowled 14 years and 400 or so events, and Walter Ray bowled in well over 600, maybe 700 tournaments. In the minds of many of us, the vote was easy. Earl Anthony was simply the best bowler that ever lived. And making his record all the more impressive is the list of names who were at the peak of their careers while Anthony was dominating the PBA Tour. Mark Roth, Marshall Holman, Dick Weber, Don Johnson, Johnny Petraglia, Dick Ritker, Nelson Burton Jr., Carmen Salvino, Dave Sutar, Dave Davis, Wayne Webb, Dave Houston, Mike Durbin, David Ozio, Larry Laud, Tom Baker, Gary Dickinson. The list goes on and on. I mean, good golly, Earl Anthony's peak years came at a time when the PBA Tour's light shone the brightest, and he reigned supreme over them all.
Home run hitter, knockout puncher, long-distance driver, whatever. That's what Anthony is.
See you later, 10 in a pit on a just amazing shot.
Earl Anthony, truly a legend of the game.
More than usual reaction.
In our first 3 matches so far, 6 has been the magic number. 6 strikes has been enough to carry our first 3 winners on to their next match. Christian won our opening match with 6 strikes. Isaiah got through match 2 with 6 strikes. And Anthony got the first 4 strikes in a row and 6 in his first 7 frames to fend off all challengers in that 3rd match. So it's Anthony who has advanced to our championship match. And I suppose it's fitting that our top 3 qualifiers are here to decide things. Anthony led the field after the first game of qualifying, Josh led after the second game of qualifying, and Dawson took the top spot after our 3rd game of qualifying. But only one of these 3 young men is going to get to sign the coveted trophy pin at the end of this final match. Who will it be? We'll know the answer to that question in about 15 minutes. I can tell you this much. Whoever it is going to be a fine young man. I'm so proud of all of these kids. But these 3 in this final match, and really all of them in the stepladder today, just real quality young people. Every one of them. Dawson with a big ripper to start. The only left-hander in our field today out of all 23 that started. He had the left side of the lane all to himself. And now Josh. Coming up high, leaving the 6-10. We've seen Josh as the top seed so many times on Prodigy this year. You've just got to figure that sooner or later he would break through. He won once on Prodigy Bowlers Tour this year, but it was a doubles event where he was paired with Logan F. He's still looking for his first singles title. And now Anthony. Anthony through the nose, leaves the 3-6-9-10. I think perhaps in the minds of some, he was an upset winner in that last match. Bowling against Isaiah and Terrell. 2 pretty accomplished players. Anthony just started bowling about, I guess, 8 or 9 months ago, not very long ago. He's made incredible progress in such a short period of time. And now Dawson. Another good shot by Dawson. He will make some quality shots. It helps to have a dad who's a USBC Silver certified coach, but it also helps to have this God-given talent too. And Dawson's got it. So does this kid, Josh. Man, does he hit the pins hard. I tell you what. He and Terrell, two of the best two-handers, maybe, well, probably the two best two-handers in the state of Georgia. Crunch. And another 3, 6, 9, 10. Okay. Well, one of the things that a player who's only been bowling 8 or 9 months must learn is how to adjust when the lanes transition. And of course, that's kind of a magical word in bowling. The lanes are always transitioning. They're always changing. With every ball thrown on your side of the lane, a little more oil gets lifted off the lane. You gotta move. This time Dawson comes in a little light. That could have taken out the 10, but he leaves the shaker 10, and that's a non-strike, giving Josh a chance to catch up. And if there's one thing the first 3 matches have taught us, I think, it's when you're presented with an opportunity to catch up, you better take advantage of it, because these frames get away from you in a hurry. How about that one right there? Josh with a big strike to tie things up. Take a look at his footwork. Solid as can be. And those pins just run to get out of the way. But I tell you what, Anthony's going to show him that he can throw strikes too. 2 to 1. Still definitely anybody's match. Dawson and his dad have been working on Dawson's release since last summer, trying to stay more behind it. Just missed to the right that time, just pulled it. And now Josh with an opportunity to move out ahead. Last Sunday, the day after he just missed out advancing on Prodigy, Josh won the inaugural Top Dog Junior tournament that was held here. Some scholarship money involved. And that was a tough tournament to win, too. They were bowling on a flat pattern, so you had to bring your A game. Looks like Josh brought it today, too. Look at this. 10 back. He throws a lot of those. Another 3, 6, 9, 10. That's 3 so far this match. Anthony needs to make a move to the left with his feet. I'd probably make a 2 to 1 move. 2 boards left with my feet, a board with my eyes at the arrows. Got to get left of where all the traffic has been on the lane. Find some oil. All right, Dawson carefully placing himself. We'll try to tie things up here. Well, he missed just a little right In the last frame, he missed a little left that time, and the ball almost got back, but just came in a little too thin to shake him up. Dawson won't show much emotion on the lanes. He'll give you a little smirk, but that's about it. Josh can move out to a 4-2 lead with a strike here. But no. Through the nose, another non-strike. This gives Anthony a chance to get back in this. He can pull to within one of the leader if he can throw a strike now in the 5th frame. You could tell it as soon as it came off his hand. It just didn't push as far to the right. So he's either missing left, and that could be nerves. Last game we showed how his right elbow kind of kicks out to the right. That gets your hand on the outside of the ball, and it sort of makes you tend to pull the ball. If you could get more behind the ball, you'd keep it on line a little better. That's what Dawson's looking for right there. Solid in the hole, and he ties up the match with Josh. We'll watch Dawson's footwork. He is real solid from the waist down. This kid can really bowl. This game is played from the waist down, so if you've got solid footwork, you can play this game. Thin. And a 2-pin remains, so we have a tie match. And once again, Anthony with a chance to pull to within one of the leaders. Can't squander any more of these opportunities. He needs to strike right here. We're getting down to the end. Oh, you could tell he almost tried to muscle that thing out there. But once again, a little high. It chops the 5 off the 9. And now we move to the 7th frame. And now things are going to get interesting. Well, they've been pretty interesting thus far, too, I'd say. I like this format. It moves. Oh, there's another one for Dawson, and now he moves back out ahead. We'll watch this one again. He hits that half pocket, and watch the 5-pin drive over into the right side of the rack. That's a power strike right there. And now Josh needs another strike right here just to keep pace. Well, and that's what he says about that right there. Stuff City. No question about it. The only thing that could possibly have left would have been a stone 7. And you see, once again, it doesn't push far enough right, but Anthony got away with it, and he had to have that strike right there, or he'd have been done. Hey, when it comes down to needing one, you get it by hook or by crook. But Anthony is now down by 2 to both leaders with just 2 frames left. One more strike by either Dawson or Josh, and Anthony can't win. And the 10-pin just won't go. So Dawson stays at 4. That keeps Anthony in it. And now Josh with a chance to take the lead by 1 with 1 remaining. A strike here would eliminate Anthony, and Josh could go dormy on Dawson. This is a big shot right here. And he rips the rack. So Anthony is out of it. The best he can do is try to catch Dawson. Watch this. It hits in the half pocket, the 5-pin, whistles over into the 7, and just saws it out. Anthony must strike just to try to finish second. And that's not to be, so the best he can do now is third. It's down to Dawson now. Dawson with the last bullet in the chamber right here must strike to have any chance of winning. He will have to strike. Josh will have to have a non-strike. And we would then go to extra frames. We'll watch this one in split screen. Dawson must strike. Oh, he looked away. He hates it. And he's missed the head pin. And with that, Josh has won our real-life strike or no strike. Dawson disappointed, but it's Josh's day. And we will get him to sign the coveted trophy pin when we return next. Now, bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your bowling center with Prodigy Bowlers Tour t-shirts and sportswear, including collared shirts with the Prodigy logo printed on the back to show that you support junior bowling. Check out the entire assortment of Prodigy t-shirts in the Brownswick store. Visit ProdigyBowlersTour.com to see the selection. That's ProdigyBowlersTour.com. While this isn't Josh's first time in the winner's circle on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, his only previous title came in a doubles event. Although anyone who's been following Prodigy these past few months surely has had their eyes on this kid and figured, like I did, that it was only a matter of time before he won his first singles title on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. And a well-earned championship it is, as he defeated one of the strongest fields we've had this year. So, congratulations to Josh for winning our Super Bowling Weekend Special, a real-life version of strike or no strike. So, let's visit with our winner.
So I finally figured out what it takes to get you to finally win a singles event. We got to get you outside of Brunswick Zone Roswell.
That's probably what it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You bowled great all day long. You had a pretty good week last week, too, when you won the top dog. How'd that go?
It's difficult. The qualifying was really difficult. And then in match play, it dried up, so it got a little easier. So.
Well, congratulations. You just won this thing, and you know the drill. Today is 2/3/2018, and you're signing the coveted trophy pin. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.